Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed the video today. We're going to go through our round 18 tips and predictions of the weekend. So you know what we do every week, that we go through every game. We give you a little bit of stats and stuff, and then we give you my view on each and every game. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. Last week, we got 3 out of 7 tips right. So not the best week in tipping. I hope everyone else kind of went that way as well. I had a couple of ones that I thought were definites to really win, and that didn't go our way. The Broncos, the Dolphins, the Roosters, and the Rabbits all failed me, but my mighty Warriors did not fail me last week, so that's all I'm happy about. So I will go with that. If you enjoyed this sort of content, please make sure you like and subscribe down below. And without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Hold up. All right. Just before we get into the video, I do also want to give away this one stat that I'm pretty happy about. So like the last couple of weeks and all that sort of stuff, last week's video I did overall, but the last weeks before that I was doing the last five games. It kind of gives me sort of view how the team is going in form at the moment. So who's the informed teams at the moment going around the competition and all that sort of stuff. You could also say these stats could be skewed due to like maybe weaker competition within those last 5 games, and yes, that sometimes happens, but I'm really proud of what the Eels have done this year to change their whole season around. And, you know, listening to Rugby League Guru and all that sort of stuff, if you take away bias sort of points and all that sort of stuff, they should be sitting around the top 4 mark. But you also, if you look at the stats wise, they are actually like leading the league in attack this year with 35.2 points per game. Not this year, I mean in form right now with 5. And I think they're one of the better teams overall in attack at the moment anyway. And then they're second in defense with 13.6 points per game in the last 5 games. So that's on track to be around that Panthers mark, which is pretty mental to think about, especially, you know, a couple of weeks back, they were like sitting 12th, 13th. Now they're looking around that, like, you know, that top 4 sort of mark with really, really good stats to back it up. So I do want to let that know, like, you know, all the Eels fans out there, I know you got to buy this weekend, but I just thought, like, you know, I'd love to give those stats out to you guys so you got a little bit of pub ammo, or you know what I mean? So yeah, we'll go through that. Back to the tips of the weekend. So first game of the weekend, we got the Sharks versus the Dragons at PointsBet Stadium. First of all, with the Sharks, so my stats with the Sharks, they're sitting 4th position right now on the ladder with all your buy points and all that sort of stuff. They're 8th in attack right now with 23.2 points per game in the last 5 games. So, you know, dipping a little bit in their attack. They're 7th in defense right now with 19.2 points per game in the last 5 games. They're just coming off the bye, and the week before the bye, they got a really nice win over the Doggies, 48-10. I think that was one of their better performances in the last couple of weeks, and even then, they looked really, really nice. They did what they were supposed to do against the Doggies, but the Doggies didn't really turn up in that game, in my opinion. And the Sharkies have just been looking a little bit out of pace at the moment for some reason. I'm not too sure what the go is there. A lot of it could be down to Nico Hines' mental at the moment with getting dropped from Origin and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, like, the complete club right now is just like, I think a lot of clubs are figuring out their weaknesses. So obviously weaknesses like the Moylan Wilson edge defensively. But, you know, these are all things that the Sharkies can fix because, you know, we all know that they're a great team. They're a top team in this competition. They just need to turn around, and this could be the game they do it. They love beating the Dragons. So with the Dragons, they are sitting 17th on the ladder right now, so they are last in this competition. They're 10th in attack in the last 5 games with 21.6 points per game. They're 15th in defense in the last 5 games with conceding 30.4 points per game, having a big loss last week against my Warriors, 48-18. I give them a little bit of props, you know, with all the media scrutiny that's been going around, all that sort of stuff. For a moment in that game, it was 8-6. Sloaney looked really, really good. The Warriors just put a whole lot of tries on him in like a short time period, and then, you know, it's sort of like, you know, went out of their way and all that sort of stuff. But I thought there was moments when I was messaging back and forth with my boys, I was like, the Dragons really look like they did turn up to this game, and then that fell away pretty quickly. But even in games in past before the Benny Hunt sort of stuff, they had been turning up in their contest. They're winning a couple of games here and there, but yeah, just not the best track at the moment. So coming into this game, no Moses Suli and no Jack Bird, so that's kind of going to hamper my tips in this way. So I'm going to go to Sharkies, even with like Suli and Bird in there. I feel like I'm going to go to Sharkies either way. Just Nico Hines, I feel like he's going to get back into form, trying to shoot for that Origin jersey again, but whether it's up to grabs, I'm not too sure what the Blues would do. Yeah, I think the Sharkies just be too strong attacking wise. They got a better sort of attacking team, and like defensively they can hold teams out. So yeah, I'll struggle to see the Dragons get a win here. Next game, we got the Warriors versus the Rabbits at Go Media Stadium. It's so weird still to try and say that, but Mount Smart Stadium as we all know it. So with the Warriors, we are 5th in the competition right now, 2nd in attack in form. So with the last 5 games with 32 points per game, which is mental. It's kind of the stat that I really enjoy right now. So within the last 5 games, we have been putting our attack together really, really nicely. We are third in defense in the last 5 games with 15.6 points per game. This is what the Warriors have done this season. We have changed our defense around completely, and just our effort areas and all that sort of stuff. We are working together as a team. And as I've seen a couple of people point out and all that sort of stuff is, you know, this group of people have actually looked like the group of players have actually looked closer than most groups of players in the rugby, like in NRL at the moment. You see them all together. They are legit all together. It's not just like a couple of people that are best friends that are over here and all that sort of stuff. It's like the whole group's actually come together really nicely, and I feel like all credit to Webby there. As I said before, massive win over the Dragons, 48-18 with a really great performance. If you have not checked out my Wild Talk video, go check it out. I do a Warriors chat video every week. Go check it out. It's actually doing really well at the moment. I appreciate everyone for all the support and all that sort of stuff, so thank you so much, guys. The big return for us this week is Mitch Barnett is back, but we have no Marata Niokora. He's getting suspended for 3 to 4 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm pretty sure he's going to take the early. So yeah, it's pretty shit for the for whatever. Yeah, I don't know. You already know, if you check out my Wild Talk video, you already know how I feel about that. Moving on to the Rabbits, they're 8th position right now, 6th in attack in the last 5 games with 24.8 points per game, and 16th in defense in the last 5 games. So second worst defensive team in the last 5 games, conceding 32.8 points per game. We've seen that stat thrown around there lately in the social media spaces and all that sort of stuff. The Rabbits, with recently, that within the last month, they're conceding about 30 points a game, which is definitely not what the Rabbits were to start the season. And last week, conceding another 30 points, so 31-6 against the Cowboys. The Cowboys really came out there and looked very dominant. If you want to know my tip for this game, you already know I'm a Warriors fan, so I'm going to always back the boys. I think we can really do some really good work around Cody Walker's edge, and even like Ilias has been struggling defensively as well. But just seeing Cody Walker over the weekend, the way his emotions really took back, you know, it's pretty much what Cody Walker is really known for, is you can get him over the edge and then you can make him make mistakes. I really hope that we attack that edge like with Joshy Curran running some really nice lines there. We can get Dallin Watene-Zelezniak over for a couple of meaties on that edge there, because they seem to suffer on both edges in this side, in the Rabbit side, but this is our better attacking side by far, so go attacking down that edge. Next game, we got the Storm versus the Panthers at Marvel Stadium. So we are playing, because of the Women's World Cup, they are playing a couple of different stadiums here and there, so a lot of, like, you know, AFL and cricket ground stadiums and all that sort of stuff, so it'll be pretty interesting seeing it live, like how that really looks. But with the Storm, first of all, they are 3rd position right now, 3rd in form in attack right now with 30 points per game, 4th in defense in the last 5 games with 16.6 points per game. Last week having a really nice win over Manly Seagulls, 24-6. I'll give it to the Seagulls. They really held in a contest for in the first half. They actually made a really good, like, close game. It could have swayed either way. Ola Kawatu scoring one of the first tries of the match, like, with a nice grubber there, and they looked like they were playing some good footy, but the Melbourne Storm just being way too strong. Xavier Coates is just in another form now after Origin, and they didn't even have Munster out there, so putting Munster back in this team right now, yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting how they go against the Panthers, who are number 1 in the competition right now. 9th in attack right now in the last 5 games with 22.8 points per game, but 1st in defense. We all know they're the best defensive team in the competition right now with 13.4 points per game in the last 5 games. Last week, getting a really nice win over the Knights, 20-12, with a whole lot of Origin boys just resting. So that was pretty mental. We all heard Christian Welsh, what he thought about that game. Yeah, we all kind of thought it in our own heads, you know, that sort of stuff. You know, the Panthers are a great outfit and this and that, but, you know, with the amount of outs that they had, holy, like, they did really well to beat the Knights there. So my tip for this one, even though saying all that good stuff about the Panthers, I just think the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne, I think they just really kind of drained the Panthers out. So I really think the Melbourne Storm can get them at home. So I'm going to go to Melbourne Storm. Next game, we got the Raiders versus the Titans at GIO Stadium. First of all, with the Raiders, they are 6th position right now, 13th in attack in the last 5 games with 17.6 points per game. 13th was also in defense with 28.2 points per game conceded. Last week, getting a nice win over the Roosters, 20-18. Oh, like, yeah, man, with the Roosters, like, at the moment, yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but with the Raiders, they blew out to a massive lead. I think it was 18-6 at one point and all that sort of stuff. 18-0 at one point, I think, around those marks. And then, yeah, just the Roosters coming back into the contest. The Raiders don't really like to win games by 13 plus these days. So even though they look like world beaters to start the game, and then, you know, come towards the end of the game, Joey Manu put some really nice pieces together. And yeah, just crazy to see. Josh Buckley is out for this game. He did a hammy in last game there, so that sucks for the Raiders. But with Corey Horsburgh, Joe Tarpiner, and all that sort of stuff, those boys are going to carry a lot of the workload there. So with the Titans, 9th position on the ladder, 7th in attack right now with 23.6 points per game. 11th in defense right now, conceding 27.2 points per game in the last 5 games. Last week, getting a really nice win over the Broncos, 18-12, where, you know, they just grinded the Broncos out. It was a really great performance from the Titans. I thought they did really, really well in that contest. The Broncos, they just looked over frustrated that they weren't getting over the try line, so they started throwing around some really silly ball. REECE probably had some questionable stuff going on, and yeah, just really good performance from the Titans. Maybe they are turning their season around, but I'd like to see a couple more samples sizes with their games and all that sort of stuff to say that the Titans are turning their season around. They've got all the talent. They've got everything there. I think with Desi Hasler coming next year, they're going to be a really, really good team coming, like, you know, especially if Ben Hunt ends up coming there as well. That team is going to look really, really nice next year. So this year, they still got a season this year, obviously sitting in 9th, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go in this game. Usually the Raiders are some sort of a bogey team. They're very much of a rival team with the Titans. So my tip for this one, I'm going with the Raiders at home. I think the Raiders might be able to do it here. Next game, we got the Cowboys versus the Tigers at Townsville. So with the Cowboys, they're sitting 10th right now, 4th in attack in the last 5 games with 27 points per game, 12th in defense right now with 27.8 points per game. That also includes the 66-point smashing from the Tigers a couple of weeks back. I think that was about 4 to 5 weeks ago. So that just includes that Tigers game. They're sitting 12th in defense, which is pretty mental to say. You know, they conceded, what, 60 plus points in one game in their last 5, but still on points per game. They are looking like, you know, 12th is not too bad when you consider the amount of other teams that like haven't been smashed by that margin. So really, really good work there that they've sort of turned their season around in the last like 4 games to really cover from that margin. They've done really well there, and last week getting a really nice win, 31-6 over the Rabbits. Players like Scotty Drinkwater, Dearden, Val Holmes, Dalangi, man, they're just all playing great footy. Sammy Valama is playing awesome footy as well, holding Kyle Fell out of that wing position. It's pretty mental to see. Yeah, just all across the park. Fine, Fuyaki, just mental, bro. Just so mental to see this Cowboys team really turn their season around. Now they're looking like they want to get into that top 8 position. This year, it's just so mental. I don't know who's going to fit into this 8. It's just so mental. With the Tigers, they're sitting second last right now, 11th in attack in the league with the last 5 games with 20.6 points per game. 6th in defense right now, so they're a really nice defensive team in the last 5 games with 18.8 points per game. Coming off the bye, but the week before, losing to Melbourne Storm 28-6, where we all know Alex Twal getting over for his first try. So coming into this game, Dane Laurie is going to be playing in the 6 role. It's going to be pretty interesting to see because I actually, like, you know, I thought Stafford Todd did okay in that 6 role in the last game. He wasn't too bad. Like, you know, maybe he could have took the line on a little bit more and all that sort of stuff, but for a player that, you know, doesn't usually play 6 for club, we did actually filled in pretty nicely. I do know that Dane Laurie has been like playing that 6 role a lot for New South Wales Cup and all that sort of stuff. So we'll be interesting to see how that goes. But my tip for this game, I'm just feeling the Cowboys. I think right now they're just in a different form. Scotty Drinkwater, Dearden, all that sort of stuff. Coming into Origin as well. Dearden, Nanai, Val, all that sort of stuff. They want to have really good performances in this one. Next game, we've got the Broncos versus the Dolphins at the Gabba. So as I said before, because of the Women's World Cup coming up, they're going to get the fields ready and all that sort of stuff. So the Gabba is going to be the home of the Broncos for a couple of weeks and all that sort of stuff. So with the Broncos sitting second in the competition right now, 15th in attack for the last 5 games with 17.2 points per game around the Origin time. So attacking wise, around this Origin period when a whole lot of Origin outs and all that sort of stuff, their attack is just not humming. But their defense is going pretty good. So 5th in defense right now in the last 5 games with 17.4 points per game conceded. Obviously last week, losing to the Titans 18-12 in a pretty disappointing affair from the Broncos. They probably should have won that game, especially, you know, with moments that they could have changed the game if they just held on to the ball in moments or just ran through their sets. They chose to do the more flamboyant, and that's really what frustration does to you. So it's all credit to the Titans. Their defensive, like, they were strong in defense, and this is what happens with teams if you're strong in defense and you shut them out and stuff like that. Sort of what happened to the Blues in Origin, where the Maroons would shut them out in every part of the game and all that sort of stuff, and then the Blues start becoming a flamboyant team because they want to get some points there to get some momentum. But, you know, it's like scoreboard pressure. It's usually how it goes in rugby league. So Brendan Pecora and Xavier Williamson is back on the edges due to injury of Jordan Riki, and of course last week Catewell. So Pecora played last week. He played pretty decent to me in my opinion. No Walshy due to the swearing at the referee sort of stuff. stuff. I won't touch on that too much because, yeah, it sucks to see, obviously, but it is what it is. That's not a way you should be acting around or at a ref, whatever way you sort of look at it. But Tristan Sailor comes in, and I think Tristan Sailor has done a really good job in there in the past, so I don't think they lose. They obviously lose a lot of like an origin player and all that sort of stuff, but Tristan Sailor has filled in and done a really good job, especially against my Warriors. So yeah, gonna keen to see Tristan Sailor run around there at the fullback there. With the Dolphins in 11th position right now, 14th in attack in the league in the last 5 games with 17.6 points per game, but the worst team in defense in the last 5 games with 34.4 points per game conceded. Not the best like last 3 game period for the Dolphins. That really hampered this stat and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, like I think in 3 weeks in a row they've been smacked by over 30. It's been really, really bad to see from the Dolphins. It sucks to see because, they built this whole like mantra around them where they're that tough, grindy team and all that sort of stuff, and it's starting to look away. But injuries and all that sort of stuff really hampered them this year, especially being a new team in a competition. We all know what they had to deal with to start this competition, so it just sucks to see. But Jeremy Marshall-King is back in the lineup, and I feel like this team looks so much better with Jeremy Marshall-King, especially for the middle. He just gets a whole lot of momentum for the middle and with his ruck work. So I'm really excited to see how they go against the Broncos that have a whole lot of outs at the moment. But we're saying all that. I'm going to go with the Broncos to bounce back. I think the Broncos will bounce back, but I feel like it's going to be a close game. The Dolphins are going to want to turn up and just bring some pride back to their jersey. Second last game of the weekend, we got the Bulldogs versus the Knights at the Core Stadium. Starting off with the Bulldogs, they're 15th in the competition right now, but the worst team in attack with a 15.6 points per game. Fuck, man, I can't talk right now, but pretty disappointing there. The last 5 games, their attack just has not clicked and all that sort of stuff. And I feel like, just ins and outs. Burton's been to Origin, been back. He hasn't played Origin, but coming into that 18th man role, he gets in and out of competition there. They try to fill a spot with a couple of boys there. I feel like Flanagan hadn't gone too well there, but has gone all right there, but just not the same with the doggies at the moment. It's pretty disappointing. 14th in defense as well. So at the moment, we're 29.8 points per game conceded. So at the moment, they're really struggling on both ends of the field. Last week getting a bye, but the week before that, they got a big loss against the Sharkies, 48-10. And yeah, just a game that did not look like they turned up at all. It was really sucks to see. But Rajab gets that starting 6 role at the moment. We'll have to see how he goes. This is his 3rd game in the league right now. And, this is his first game starting at 6. So really excited to see how he goes. He's got a whole lot of energy and all that sort of stuff. But I didn't it sucks, man. Carl Oluwapu, I feel like he does a whole lot of good stuff. He got moved into the lock role in the middle of that last Sharkies game, if you haven't noticed. And just, yeah, they got found out pretty badly. But I feel like defensively he's not too bad. It's just that team's just not clicking at the moment. I'm not too sure really what, obviously injuries is what you put it down to, but I feel like there's a couple of more things going on with the doggies at the moment, so I'm not too sure what's going on there. And with the Knights sitting at 14th position right now, and it's probably one of the most disappointing teams in the competition, especially if you look at their roster. I know they lost Jaden Brayley, but, even then, they still have Kalen Ponga, Greggy Marju, Domi Young, Dan Gagai, Brandon Bess, Jackson Hastings. Just naming that whole backline there is just looks like points galore. Just not happening for them at the moment. And showing with their stat here, the second worst attacking team in the competition in the last 5 games was 16.4 points per game. Really disappointing, and that includes, I think they had a really big win over the Titans. That includes that. Even with that, they're just not scoring too many points other than those sort of games there. But 8th in defense, so really defensively, they're not going too bad. Middle of the pack with 21.2 points per game in the last 5 games. 20-12 loss against the Panthers there, and it was really disappointing. Obviously, the Panthers having a whole lot of Origin outs. We all said, as I said before, Christian Welch came out in that press conference, said all what we all thought, so really disappointing there. But my tip for this game, I'm going to go to the Knights. I feel like Caleb Ponga always steps up against the Bulldogs. Knowing one of my best mates and all that sort of stuff, being a Bulldogs fan, watching a whole lot of Bulldogs games and that Magic Round, all that sort of stuff, I just feel like Caleb Ponga loves to play against the Bulldogs. So I'm going to go to the Knights in this one. And the last game of the weekend, we got the Manly Seagulls versus the Roosters at 4 Pines Park. I feel like this is going to be the game. Obviously 4 Pines is just a fortress for Manly. So touching with Manly, first of all, Manly sitting 13th position right now, 5th in attack in the last 5 games with 25.6 points per game. But I would also note down with this stat, obviously Tommy had something to do with this team in parts and stuff like that. Without Tommy, they don't go too well in attack. They've been shut out quite well. So whether Ruben Garrick, we seen it last year that he could actually hold up the load. He's a really good fullback there whenever they chuck him back there. but it's just not Tommy Turbo. So 10th in defense in the last 5 games with 23.6 points per game conceded. Last week with a 24-6 loss to the Melbourne Storm. And to be honest, as I said before to start this video with the Storm sort of breakdown, I actually thought the Manly Seagulls played really well in this game for a big chunk of this game. The Melbourne Storm really blew them out late with a couple of big Xavier coach tries and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, just Manly, I feel like, you know, with DCE getting another week in there, not just hampered with Origin, just coming back off Origin and all that sort of stuff. They got Jake Trbojevic back. They got Kelma Dilungi back. They got Brad Parker back and Jason Saab back and a couple others, you know, all filling out the bench nights and stuff. So they got a whole lot of ins coming back in this lineup. Obviously, Joshy Schuster with like the Luke Brooks signing and all that sort of stuff. I want to see Josh Schuster have a massive game because he's got all the skills in the world. You know, when he has a full team around him, I feel like he does amazing work. Obviously, everyone's sort of looking at him now where he didn't have all the team around him and he just hasn't been going amazing and all that sort of stuff. So have to see how he goes in this matchup. But with the Roosters sitting 12th in the competition right now, 12th in attack with 17.8 points per game, 9th in defense with 22.8 points per game in the last 5 games. 20-18 loss against the Raiders last week where, you know, they really left their run really late. Joey Manu really sparked it, but even then, just their attacking sets don't look amazing. I know Lindsay Collins had a really nice try from, like a really nice work from Sandon Smith. A couple of moments where it does look like it's clicking, but, you know, just, I don't know what it is with the Roosters at the moment. They just can't like click it in again. I feel like it all started with that Sammy Walker dropping. So yeah, pretty shit go there for the Roosters. But we got Joseph SUA'ALI'I returning in this lineup from suspension and he's going to line up on the wing. So really excited to see how he goes there. Obviously his runs back from like a kick and all that sort of stuff is going to be damaging. And if you really think about it with Manly, you know, DC, if he's going to kick to Daniel Tupou, he's got a whole lot of run meters in him. He's going to kick to Teddy's going to run for over 200 the way he goes. And you go the other way, you got Joseph SUA'ALI'I just running out with those high knees and all that sort of stuff. So just pretty, like, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the Roosters go. Obviously, their start to their sets are going to look really, really nice, but it still comes down to the halves and how they get these boys across the park and the way they play make and all that sort of stuff. So my tip for this one, I'm going to go Manly because Manly at home, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Roosters come out and actually have a really decent performance, especially with, you know, SUA'ALI'I back and all that sort of stuff. I feel like their starts to their sets are going to look a little bit better. So yeah, see how they go in this one. So yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video today. If you enjoyed this sort of content, please make sure you like, subscribe, make sure you comment down below your tips for the weekend or your thoughts on one of these games and stuff. If you're a fan of any of these teams, let me know in the comment section down below. Take it easy, guys. Peace out.